that the MPP created and saddled Ghanaians with. The next biggest problem was unemployment. And indeed, the last set of data that became available before the elections showed that up to 2 million Ghanaian youths were without employment. So we were always aware that unemployment was going to be a major issue that needed to be tackled under us. For that reason, measures are being put in place, some of which have begun already to address the problem. First of all, even the investments in road construction, other construction activities creates employment because there are people whose job it is to engage in construction. There are masons, artisans of all types, steel benders, welders, what have you, who take part in the construction of these roads. And so through that, you create employment for tens of thousands of people who otherwise will be home without doing anything. We also have an apprenticeship program, which we have dubbed National Apprenticeship Program. The objective is to ensure that over the next 4 years, at least on a yearly basis, we have about 100,000 people put through apprenticeship. And indeed, being an MP in a rural community, and between 2020 and 2024, when I was campaigning on my own, through my own efforts, I was able to ensure the training of about 2,000 young people because I distributed sewing machines, hair dryers, and what have you to them, and they learned a trade. And so every now and then I get invitations to attend graduation ceremonies of these people. And I noticed that it resolved the problem of unemployment to some significant extent because those same people who used to come to me for assistance suddenly stopped because they had found something to do. So we committed ourselves to expanding this national apprenticeship program, and it's something that is ongoing. 300 million Ghana cedis was allocated for it last year. This year, another 150 million Ghana cedis has been set aside for 2026, and that is ongoing. There's a Jumeirah project, which essentially aims at creating self-employed people, because it's not every time that you need to work for someone. There are times when you can work for yourself and also employ others. That one too has started with a target of about 10,000 people, with a view to growing it as we go on. You know the Women's Development Bank to provide microcredits for women who want to engage in some trade or some other economic activity. Through that, you create employment for them. The finance minister announced 100,000 acre palm development projects. And the analysis that has been done shows that for every acre of palm plantation, you need 3 people to work on. So you are talking 3 times 100, that's 300,000 people if that project comes to fruition in the medium to long term. So all these are policies that have been implemented to ensure.
More specifically, your party people who toiled under the sun and campaigned for you, a lot are disgruntled. They say you have not given them positions, you're not giving them appointments. Oh, even your MPs in parliament, a lot have not been given positions.
How are you dealing with that? Including our party people know that there's only so many people that will get into government. That is a truism. They are not in any doubt that not everybody within the NDC or without it who helped in some way, shape or form during the campaign will get an appointment in government.
But the MP people are laughing at them. How so? After all this,
how so? Well, was the MP
Felix Kwakye
was the MP able to employ every member of their campaign teams? Everybody who campaigned. So it is not possible. I don't think that there's any reasonable expectation for that to happen. However, members of the NDC are also Ghanaians, and so they deserve the same opportunities available to everybody. And so all these programs that I have highlighted are open to all of them. Once the opportunities become available, I don't think that we would even be selecting people on the basis of their party cards. The idea is to ensure that as many of our young people as possible who are currently saddled with unemployment find opportunities through various interventions across various sectors, so that at the end of the day, they're able to earn some reasonable income that enables them to fend for themselves and their families. That, for me, is a more realistic and sustainable approach to the problem of unemployment.
You mentioned national health insurance, and that takes me to health sector. So I want us to know what you're going to do with Agenda 111, which is a project that was left behind for you. But there's a story on citynewsroom.com published in June.
Sure.
Government targets construction of 600 chips compounds by end of 2025, and that's attributed to you. The year is ending. Where are the 600 chips compounds? That's the question many people ask.
Yes, as part of the reforms that we have carried out in the disbursement of the Common Fund, President Obama has instructed that a minimum of 80% of the monies in the Common Fund should go to the districts. When we took over power, the NPP had a policy where they used to make huge deductions at the center, so very minimal amounts went to the district assemblies. And I told you about the experience of AAK. Only 298,000 cedis came the whole of last year. So we've sent about 80% of what the district assemblies common fund accrues to the district assemblies. Now, in order to guide the disbursement of these monies, the utilization of the monies, and to align them with the overarching objectives of government, Cabinet developed guidelines on how the monies should be spent. So we have something called the 24-hour economy markets, where in areas where they do not have decent market center, and when you come to AAK, we hardly can boast of any decent market center. The district capital, Abrodungwa, has a market that was built somewhere in the 60s, and clearly it's out of shape. It's in a state of disrepair. So a major commitment was to get them a new market. So this 24-hour economic market has come in handy, and the same will be applied to areas where there are no such markets. So that's, and up to 25% of the common fund was earmarked for this sort of activity. Indeed, as I speak to you in AAK, they've already, found a piece of land that is being cleared for the purpose, and very soon construction will start. So one of the items in the guidelines was the construction of at least 2 CHIPS compounds in every district, and we have 261 districts. So we are talking over 500, close to 600 CHIPS compounds. Now, the reason why this is necessary is that starting from next year, we are implementing the free primary health care, which was a major campaign promise. Essentially, it is to ensure that basic minor ailments, headaches, rashes, stomach aches that are not serious and all that are treated at the most basic level of healthcare, which is the CHIPS compound, and then perhaps the health centers. To do this, you need to have the infrastructure in place. So this guideline was sent to all the assemblies. I know that they are complying with it. Indeed, in the case of AAK, I can report that all things being equal, by the end of this year, we should commission 2
CHIPS compounds.
CHIPS compound, one at Nyamedom, one at Ohia. But indeed, I've gone to inspect them. The last time I was there, they were almost done.
This year will end in 3 weeks.
Yes, and the contractor assures that by December 20th, it will be done. As I speak to you, procurement processes have begun to buy equipment to equip those 2 CHIPS compounds. And I know that the same applies to almost every district in Ghana. Indeed, the local government ministry should be updating us in the coming weeks on the outcome of this. So it is a promise.
You are the one who anchors the government accountability series. True. Would you invite the Minister of Health, or which ministry?
Well, the Minister of Health has been there about 8
or local government? The
local government minister.
Someone who can answer specifically on this 600 CHIPS compound.
It is the local government ministry.
Yes.
That is coordinated, because it's an activity being undertaken by the District Assembly. Of course, they do so in close collaboration with the health ministry to guide the operational procedures.
So when can you give us a specific...
by the close of the year, they should be able to report on it. Perhaps early next year, the first quarter of next year, they should be able to report on that. But I know that it's an activity that is ongoing.
But everywhere. The 600 have not been done.
Oh, but Umaru, if I tell you that 600, no, and again about 600, certainly in excess of 500. Yeah. I have given you the example of AAK.
You've given your place.
Absolutely.
So, and I
know that is same is taking place everywhere. So they are at various stages.
Okay.
So by a certain point, they should be completed.
Okay.
And I'm saying that it is not a random policy initiative.
Very well.
It is targeted at helping us.
I got the basis.
Implement the free primary health care policy. Yeah.
What are you doing at the National Cathedral? It's 1 year on. It's still a big hole.
Again, I still maintain to this day that it was an absolutely misplaced priority. You see, the president of the land at the time, at the height of economic difficulty, when Ghanaians were struggling, and his government, despite his assurance that there will be no haircut, had implemented excruciating haircuts in respect of about 1.3 million bondholders, told everybody that his biggest priority as president, indeed,
priority of priorities,
used was priority of priorities.
Yes.
Was the building of a $1 billion cathedral.
Yes. So now my point is that 1 year on, what are you doing with
I think a few months ago, I held a press conference. At the time, the National Cathedral Secretariat itself had commissioned an audit, which had revealed very worrying patterns of procurement breaches and misapplication of public funds. That called for further investigation. So the Auditor General, working in collaboration with the Attorney General, have commissioned a forensic audit, which we know are underway. Which is underway, I beg your pardon. Once it is completed, we will know exactly what has been done where. But the president has indicated...
Is it taking too much time?
No, but you need a forensic audit means that you have to delve deeper.
It's 1 year.
No, it's not. It's been only a few months. Indeed.
No, I mean since you took office.
Yes, but you need to allow a reasonable amount of time for that to happen. Okay. Because the process has to be thorough. You have to find out everything. If somebody presents an invoice, you should be able to go behind the invoice and find out exactly what has happened, where the money has gone to, and who has done what. So once that is completed, then we'll be in a position to take other decisions. But what is clear is that we cannot commit $1 billion of public funds to build the cathedral. And the president has made that quite clear. And so once the report comes in, government's position will be clearly stated. Okay. But what I can assure is that public funds are not going to be used to support $1 billion cathedral. Yeah. The president has made that very, very clear.
This is Face to Face on ChannelOne TV. My guest is the Chief Government Spokesperson, Minister of State in charge of Government Communication. The next issue I want to bring to his attention is, even though the president himself has spoken about not wanting to go for a third term, people still keep talking about it. The Constitutional Review Commission has sent his report. I asked him emphatically what the president is thinking. And also the Office of Special Prosecutor and the Jean Mensah, Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, petitions, are they trying to remove them like they removed the Chief Justice? That's the question I'm going to ask. Please stay. You're welcome back. This Face to Face on ChannelOne TV. In assessing 1 year, removing the Chief Justice is a major thing in any republic. It goes down in history as your government supervising that. Even though you have explained that you went through the constitutional process, everything is correct. The woman herself is challenging it. She's gone to the ECOWAS court. Many people say you plan to do this and you have executed it. And now you're going to visit, say, on Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jean Mensah, and the Special Prosecutor, Kisei Jabin. How do you respond?
Well, those people would have to provide evidence to show. It's not enough to just claim that we have plotted against these persons and have either removed them or about to remove them. You have to provide evidence. As I speak, there's no evidence to the effect. You see, it does not matter how big or small one is. When the law catches up with you, the law must take its course. If you have a country where people are excused from wrongdoing on account of how weighty their position is, you are headed for a banana republic. So in a country where the rule of law works, it does not matter how lofty your position is, from the president to the messenger. Once you do something that violates Ghanaian law and there's a prescribed sanction, it ought to be applied. What matters is that due process has to be followed. And that is exactly what happened in the case of the Chief Justice. The President did not write the Constitution. So he abided by the letter and spirit of the Constitution. To date, those who say are making these claims are unable to point to a single infraction of the constitutional process. So there's really no basis for that assertion. In respect of the Special Prosecutor and the Electoral Commission Chairperson, as I had cause to confirm to you last week, 10 separate petitions have been received. And the Constitution is clear that on those matters, the President must simply act as a conveyor belt and send same to the Chief Justice for any further action that he may deem necessary based on constitutionally prescribed actions. And that is what has been done. That is where the President's role in this ends. The rest is up to the Chief Justice to kick the necessary process into motion.
We saw a by-election in Akwetia. We saw a mini-election or rerun in Ablekuma North. I think that is a constituency you once
Yes, but that's where I was born.
Okay, which was Dakuma?
Dakuma, yes.
Now we have a by-election, unless anything changes in the northern region. Forgive me, the name of the constituency just escaped me. Sure. Matthew Nyendam's constituency, Panda.
Panda, yeah.
What assurance can you give us that the security situation we saw in Ablekuma North will not repeat itself in Pandai, and generally security in this country?
Oh, I think that the Akwetia by-election proved
has vindicated you.
Exactly, and it was peaceful. It passed without incident. So,
yeah, but this one you are more aggressive.
Oh, no, there's no aggression. What it is,
like they say, you are collecting their seats from them by force.
You see what it is? First of all, sometimes the MPP itself.
So you are going after them.
The MPP must pinch themselves and wake up from the slumber, the self-imposed slumber that they appear to be under. They went after Jachikwesi. Indeed, bizarre court rulings were handed down in the Jachikwesi matter. Even before the matter had been exhausted, he was barred from working as an MP. Even before the matter had been conclusively determined by a court of competent jurisdiction. So we went to a by-election assembly, did we not? We won, we prevailed. In fact, he prevailed by a wider margin than he did in the general election that brought him to parliament in the first place. So if the MPP has a right to petition against the conduct of an election in a constituency and pray a court to strip a member of parliament from the office that he occupies, why are they complaining when another person who feels aggrieved by the outcome of an election goes to court and the court makes a pronouncement after hearing the matter?
You are doing tit for tat.
There's no tit for tat. I'm saying that the same process that they went through to have Jachikwesin's seat declared vacant
is what you have
has been applied by the NDC Pandora candidate who lost, or who was said to have lost in 2024. And the court has vindicated his right. How can the MPP purport to be angry at this? You see, they must show respect to the people of Ghana. They cannot say that when one court pronounces that there should be a by-election at Senate, we should jump and sing hallelujah. But when the same High Court pronounces that there should be another election in Pandai, then all hell must break loose. You see, nobody takes someone who flip-flops like that seriously. And it will do them a world of good if they remain consistent and take the electorate more seriously.
We need to go. Sure. In a minute. By the next December that you and I sit down for an assessment, what will be one major thing that will be done in 2026 that Ghanaians will say hooray?
I think that we will see more of the big push.
So more roads.
Our roads will be in a much better shape than
the motorway will be nice.
The motorway, clearly, work would have
the express, the new expressway that you've gone to do, nobody has sent you. You've decided to build. You build.
No, it is necessary. That's why it's being done. When Kwame Nkrumah wanted to build the motorway, I recall there was a graphic front page news item that appeared in the 60s that showed only one vehicle on the motorway. And at the time, the same Nankwabuzi elements were up in arms, claiming that it was not necessary. It was a prestige project. You know, so similar things, and Asenso Kwakye is known to have opposed the construction of that highway. But the point is that it is necessary. That is why it is being done. Now, you asked about a third term.
President Mahama's third term, yes.
Again, the MPP have whipped themselves into a needless frenzy. President Mahama has stated emphatically that he will respect the Ghanaian constitution because he is a consummate Democrat. So there is no third term anywhere for him or any other person for that matter, so as far as the Ghanaian constitution.
Even if people go on street and demonstrate that, please want
anybody can say what they want. So the fact that people have gone on Facebook to express a desire for him to run a third term does not mean that will happen. The man himself has said that I am not interested.
Very well.
So the MPs should stop wasting their time and everybody's time and purporting to be angry and whipping themselves into a frenzy. It is an absurd fantasy that they themselves are getting themselves into, because President Mahama has not expressed any such intent. Indeed, not only has he not expressed intent, he has actually stated emphatically, and it's on record, that he's not going to run.
Honorable Felix Kwakye,
any talk about it is a complete waste of everybody's time.
Minister of State in charge of government communication, MP for Abra Asebu. We didn't talk about your constituency.
Oh yes, the constituency is doing well. It's certainly doing much better than I took it in exactly a year ago.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Umaru Sandamado. This has been Face to Face. We'll be back next week with more. Please stay with Channel One Television.